Good evening and happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome back to Room for Sunshine, the podcast where I bring a little dollop of Bali straight to you wherever you are in your world. And this week, we are officially kicking it off with the Thursday Sunset Chat. Ask Alyssa. I got DMs. I am so excited to hear from you. Welcome back to the show. Okay, so welcome back, everybody. I hope you had a great week wherever you are in your week journey. And I guess I'm going to just do a quick 3-part check-in. What's alive for you today? You might just think about it. What's alive? How are you feeling? And if you want to close the eyes, you can close the eyes. But this is just a good way for us to get out of wherever we were when we were thinking about even listening to this podcast. Like a minute ago is done, you know? So right now, just checking in with yourself. What is alive for you right now? And for me, what's alive is curiosity. I've had a couple interesting things that have just started happening, and around work and friendships and ideas. So curiosity is what's alive. And our second question for this 3-part check-in is, what am I grateful for right now? So what are you grateful for right now? And for me, I am grateful for the sound of rain. It's pouring rain here right now. And I don't know, it's just like a yummy hug sometimes. And the third question is just, what is one thing that you need to let go of today? One thing you need to let go of. Whatever that might be. And my answer to that question, something I need to let go of, is my urgency to try and get things done as quickly as possible rather than letting them take their sweet, slow time. Cool. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for doing the 3-part check-in if you did it with me. So welcome to the first ever Ask Alyssa. Again, the reason I wanted to bring this in is because I'm here in Bali, and I have definitely been able to experience things that have opened up new perspectives. I've always kind of been the friend that people ask advice for or from, but I also want to start bringing this lens that I have, which is somebody who is sort of between the world of 9-to-5 person in a city and yoga teacher on a tropical island, and just share my feedback and thoughts on whatever you're going through in your life. The first time I tried doing this, nobody responded, but I have since had a number of people send in their Ask Alyssas. So today I'm just going to pick one that, I don't know, it resonated with me. And that's the reason I have my phone. Otherwise, this would be a no phone zone. We need to make more places in this world no phone zones, just as a side note. I hate when I get to a restaurant and everyone's on their phone. It's the worst. Okay. Back to what you came for. So, this question that came in is it better to speak your mind or confront a person directly about a problem versus create space and separation from that person and move on silently? I wish I had those cards, you know, when they have those cards, the custom brand cards, so that I don't have to read from my phone. I'm going to work on that. Okay, I'm going to read this question one more time. Is it better to speak your mind and confront a person directly about a problem, or create space and separation from that person and move on silently? Great question from our anonymous sender. So the first thing I would say to that is, who is this person? And I did actually follow up, and this person was a friend. But I think if you're ever in that situation, which for me is super relatable, where something's on your mind and you're like, to say it or not to say it, that's really the question here. To me, the first point is who. Who are we talking about? And last week we talked about friendships, and it's that same principle of deciding immediately who is this person and what is their value in your life. Because if it's a friend who you've had in your life for a long time and you love and you want to keep a relationship with right away, that's a very different answer to me than if it's somebody who is sort of, I don't want to say disposable, but kind of somebody in your life that either negatively impacts your life every time you're with them, or they just feel like filler, but they're not actually enhancing your life. Because if they're not enhancing it, just to pause on that for a second, it is sort of negative. I had a teacher who once said, either we're growing or we're going the opposite direction. And so if you have somebody who's enhancing your life, that's upward, right? And a challenge can also be viewed as upward. But if somebody is negatively impacting you, that's actually taking you the other direction. So the first is the who. If it's a family member that you're close with, or an estranged family member, if it's a boss, if it's a teacher, if it's or an employee or employer, or a coworker, so many variations. So that's the first thing I would say, is we need to initially analyze who it is we're talking about. And then from there, I think the important thing to start distinguishing, and what's really helped me in my life, is, am I doing this for me, or am I doing this because I want them to know? And the way I would break that down is, sometimes there's something that we need to do. We need to get it off our chest, right? I'm thinking about a time that I had an issue with a friend, and I had seen a therapist, I had done all my practices, I'd done yoga, I had journaled, and it was still weighing on me, right? Like, it was weighing on my heart in a way that I was like, I have to share this so that I can move through it, so that I can heal from it. And so in that case, if it's weighing on you in that way, I would say absolutely. Please excuse my window that just started banging. I would say in that case, absolutely, it's really beneficial to share a piece of your heart with somebody if it's something you need to do to heal for yourself. What I think is important to recognize, though, is it because I want them to change and hear me, or because just saying it and being heard is enough? The tricky situation that I think a lot of times we can come into is when we are expecting a specific reaction or response from the thing we're saying. And that's why I love the friends who are like, I don't even need your advice right now, I just want to vent. Because to me, that's a very mature communication sign that they are not interested in what my personal reflection is of them. They just need a space to speak. So I think identifying whether it's for you or because you want them to change or fix in some way is an important thing to recognize. And moving on silently can be a sign of strength, right? So in some ways, to think about somebody that you had a crush on. You're into somebody, and then somehow at some point you just start to walk away from whatever that relationship was. Sometimes we don't need to actually say the thing in order to move on from the thing, if that makes sense. You can outgrow somebody and not need to tell them, I outgrew you. You can just leave. And when I was speaking to this person a little bit more in depth just about this situation, because they elaborated, what really came through is identifying when speaking is going to help you with that growth, and when walking away silently will do the same. So ultimately, no matter which way you look at it, we're looking for the growth orientation, but it's about your own growth, not about making somebody else grow. I hope that makes sense so far. And sometimes we need a balance of both, right? So I'm thinking about friendship moments that I've had in the past where actually just giving the thing space and separation without saying anything eventually led to a more healing and receptive conversation. Because we all know when we are hot-headed and angry, like when I am when I am in my rage, I'm a wild card, like what comes out of my mouth might not be as friendly as I want it to be. And so the reason I bring that up is because I believe space can heal. I believe space and time can heal anything. We don't all have all the space and time in the world. Oh, there goes that window again. I will close it after this episode so my landlord doesn't get mad. What was I saying? Oh, space and time. Space and time, I believe, can heal a lot. And also, I believe in the power of sharing and open communication. So I think with anything, I really believe in the 24-hour rule. Like, before you say anything and just act impulsively, I think sitting on something for a day just to reflect on how you really feel and cool off from whatever the thing is or the moment was is super important. And then from there to go, okay, is more space going to help me here, or is confronting and having that conversation going to help? In yoga, we talk a lot about truth. It's like a pillar of yoga is truth and getting to truth. And I believe that in this society, we have mistaken verbalization and communication as the only way of reaching truth. But I think truth can exist. Truth can lie in anything. Sometimes it only takes giving your best friend a big hug after a fight to heal. And nothing has to be said at all. Or sometimes, it's just that one look where you're like, okay, I see you. I get it. And I guess the reason I really want to close on that is because what we need is going to change every time, no matter who it is, if it's the same person over and over, different people. And so understanding more intimately with ourselves, like, what do I need from this situation is really useful. Because when we go into it being like, I need an apology from that person, that's immediately out of your control. So then you're basing your own happiness and inner peace off of that person saying, yeah, I messed up. Yeah, you're right. Like, if you are looking for those words, you're right, I believe you're wrong. I believe that you are just setting yourself up for failure, because we have everything we need inside to feel at peace and to feel and see the truth. And as soon as we start trying to manipulate other people's actions to make us feel better, I think it's a lose-lose situation. So, as one more moment to respond, when you are deciding whether to confront somebody with words or take space and walk away silently, I believe it really comes down to each unique situation, but it should be determined on what is going to help you as an individual grow to be a little bit better. And also, what are the stakes involved, Who is that person to you, and what value do they add that you either want to keep more of or you're okay walking away from? So thank you to our user who sent that in, and thank you to my other users out there. Users is such a weird word. Thank you to all of you listeners who have sent in thoughts for Ask Alyssa. Monday we'll be back with a regular sunrise episode, but next Thursday, 1 week from now, we will do Ask Alyssa again. Thank you so much for listening. Have an amazing weekend at Room for Sunshine. Follow us, tag us, send us a DM if you like the show, and please send this episode to one person. Rate it. Let's get the word spread as wide as possible. From here in Bali to you, wherever you are. I'll see you next time.